how much stuff do you actually have in your physical world? And if you had to put all that stuff into one space, how big would that space have to be? I'm in the process of moving house and putting a lot of my belongings in storage, and it's prompted me to think about some things that can help you declutter your life. So let's dive in. Hey there friends, and welcome back to Simple Essentials. If you're new to the channel, my name is Emmy, and this channel is all about simplifying your life in as many ways as possible. I typically like talking about meal planning, budgeting, and organizing and decluttering your space. So if that's the kind of stuff you like, hit that subscribe button below and join the Simple Essentials family. Today I have a bit of a chat that I just wanted to have quickly with you guys. And as you might know, if you've watched a few of the previous videos, my partner and I are in the process of building a house a little bit outside of Melbourne, Australia, where we live. And we're in the process of selling, or rather moving out of the apartment that we currently live in, which means I'm going to have about a 9-month period or so when most of our stuff is going to be in storage, and we are going to be living in temporary furnished accommodation in a couple of different constellations. So you'll see me cooking and doing stuff in different spaces and different backgrounds over the coming months. But there are two really simple principles that this has kind of triggered, or questions rather, that this has triggered for me. And I really like the Minimal Mom here on YouTube. She talks a lot about family minimalism, and I don't have children, but I really resonate with her principle around managing inventory. So my partner and I are both pretty minimalist. We don't have a lot of stuff. We don't have a giant library. We don't have big collections really of anything. But hand on heart, we still have a lot of stuff. Like, we have a 2-bedroom apartment. We have 2 kind of storage cages out in the shared garage in the apartment building. So we definitely have a fair bit of stuff. We have 2 bikes and things like that. So 2 things I've been thinking a lot about lately, whether you are moving house or not, I invite you to think about this. The first one being, if you had to move everything that you own into a storage unit, how many trucks would it take to move your things? And how big a space would you need to store that stuff in? So for example, back in 2019, we did a big trip and a career break and went to Europe for 4 months. And we put everything in storage because we were in between accommodations at the time. And we were able to fit a kind of a 1.5 bedroom into a 2 by 3 meter storage unit, which was a really tight squeeze. And we stacked everything very Tetrisy and tall, but it worked out pretty well. But we needed 1 truck and a storage unit to fit everything at that time. And the interesting thing this time is obviously going to be a bit different, because we are going to be bringing maybe some clothing. I might bring my coffee machine and a handful of other things with us to our temporary accommodation, but most of the things will have to go into storage. We now live, as I say, in a 2-bedroom apartment. So we are probably going to need, instead of a small truck, at least a large truck to move all this stuff, including some gardening furniture, a barbecue, some plants, things like that. So definitely a larger truck that we're going to need this time. And I'm hoping I can fit it all in about 3 by 3 meters for a storage unit. So we'll see how I go with that. And I will be bringing you guys along on the journey so you can see how we go with this stuff. But nevertheless, most people seriously underestimate how much stuff they have. So if you think about the inventory in your life, the physical inventory that you have, how many truckloads do you reckon that is to transport that from A to B? And this will start to kind of trigger your mind a little bit, because you'll seriously probably underestimate how much stuff you have. But do bear in mind the things that are in storage in your attic, in your basement, in your garage, in your garden shed if you have one. And there's nothing wrong with having stuff, but the key thing here at Simple Essential is to thinking about how much stuff do you have and what's the purpose of it. Do certain things help your health and fitness and well-being? Do they help your family life run smoother? You know, if the things that you have a clear purpose, whether that be practical or emotional, then you're totally fine. But also remember that more inventory means more stress. And at some point in your life, you probably will move house and have to deal with that. And for most people, house moves are not particularly enjoyable. The second principle I would encourage you to think about, and I reflected on this a little bit myself, is if you had an emergency happen and you had 5 minutes to gather 5 important things and leave your house and not know when you could come back to your house again. I mean, this happens to people all the time. If there is a fire or a natural disaster of some kind, or conflict or anything like that. So most of us, the good thing is that most of us don't have to experience this very often. But if you had 5 minutes to grab 5 things only and leave your house and not know when you could come back, which of the 5 things would you actually bring with you? I think for me, it would be things like, I've got a sleeve with like passports and important paperwork, so I'd definitely be bringing that. I'd be bringing my cat, possibly my laptop, and honestly, like, I don't even know if I could get to 5 things. So anyway, I'm curious what those 5 things might be for you. Feel free to leave a comment below if you're comfortable to do so, what 5 things you would grab. The reason this is important is that if you can pick 5 things reasonably easily that you would bring with you as an absolute must before you ran out the door, then ask yourself how important some of the other stuff is. Because what I feel like for most of us, we have necessities, which is like the core things in life, and we have good to haves. And the good to haves are really great because they make us comfortable and happy, and they add that little extra sprinkle and silver lining on our lives. But they're not things we always need to function. So just curious how you feel about these 2 questions. Feel free to leave your comments in the question box below. I would love to hear from you on how you think about how many truckloads would your life fit into versus what 5 things would you bring with you if you had to leave in a hurry. I look forward to bring you guys along on the journey of our house move, and I'll make sure to share the decluttering and the organization tips that are helping us, and hopefully they can help you guys as well. All the best, have a great week, and I look forward to see you in the next video.